Welcome to Money Matters. My name's David Kroll from Mortgage Network, and I'm standing here with Emily Johnson from Polaris Capital. We come to you each week trying to make sense of the economic impact of world affairs and the world economy as a whole, the national economy, and then when we're really good at our jobs, reducing it to the impact on Beaufort County. So I'd like to lead off today and talk about some of the big news items that are sort of rolling through the world financial markets. Last week we talked briefly about export tariffs and trade agreements. It's a subject that is in terms of its boringness and its dryness, it's just above interest rates.
I was going to say,
interest rates.
Don't know which is there.
Interest rates are about as boring as it gets.
We'll get to that too.
That's of course my passion in life, but tariffs and trade agreements are pretty dusty. And then the just above them in the rank of dusty and boring subjects is tax reform and the U.S. tax code and indeed the world taxation system and how it affects things. We have a lot going on in Washington at the moment. Mr. Trump is making headlines twice or three times daily. Two of the topics on which he's making headlines are these dusty, boring subjects, trade agreements and tax reform. Interestingly, many of the things that he's making headlines on, he won't be able to very easily accomplish because government is a complicated business and you can't just govern by decree. You have to involve Congress and things are complicated. But two of the things that he actually may be able to accomplish a great deal on is tax reform and trade agreements. Mm-hmm. And
that's expected. The tax reform is expected to be announced in a few weeks, right?
Which is
amazing.
Which is amazing. And he'll make his first proposal. It'll go into committee. It may take a while to get done, but there seems to be some positive momentum from both parties for tax reform. Trade agreements also. There's what I wanted to specifically talk about was what is in common of both of these very, very major elements of economic conversation. What's in common is that every tweak in the tax code has a winner and a loser, and every tweak in trade tariffs and trade agreements has a winner and a loser. Not just a winner and a loser, China versus the U.S. or the U.S. versus Venezuela or the U.S. versus Mexico. Not just a winner and a loser in that sense, but a winner and a loser within the United States. These are very finely balanced economic issues. Let me give you an easy example. Trump ran on with the support of the farming states, the western farm states,
center of the country, not the coast,
not the coast, and the farmers were solidly in favor of Trump. It's very interesting that any kind of trade embargo, any shift in NAFTA will immediately hurt those very same people because the United States is a net exporter by tens and tens and tens of billions of dollars, a net exporter of farm goods. Likewise, the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which links together 13 or 14 southeastern nations, the United States is a net exporter of foodstuffs to those countries. So the instantaneous harm that's done by a shifting of these open border agreements is to the farming community. Interesting. It's a delicate. This is why when you say we hate lobbyists, even that statement is a two-edged sword, because for every issue there are opposing lobbyists right there on K Street in Washington, taking both sides of the view. I mean, indeed, we can watch the boxing match go back and forth, depending on your position and your politics. There's lobbyists for both sides.
Well, and then there's the unforeseen consequences,
and
too.
The unforeseen.
There's the expected of what would happen with the trade agreements, and then there's the, well, I guess we'll find out part of it as well.
Yeah.
That's frightening.
It is frightening and interesting. It's these are what I like to call the big chess pieces on the board. They're not finely tuned issues. It's not Boeing opening a factory in Greater Charleston and adding an extra 3,000 jobs or whatever. These are issues that sweep every industry in America with immediate, unforeseen and foreseen consequences, and it ripples through and ripples through and ripples through for hundreds of billions of dollars.
Another headline that was sort of along the same lines that I was looking at involved developed nations no longer investing in U.S. bonds or divesting themselves of U.S. bonds, German bonds, China specifically not investing as much in the United States, and what that is going to do to interest rates, or could do to interest rates. I thought that was fascinating, because typically United States is the is the haven, the safety haven for those foreign investors. So I wonder what the impetus is for the why that's changing.
It's
certainly China's not safer than we are at this point.
Absolutely not. But it's the percentage. This is again, these are delicate balances. The percentage of sovereign investment by countries in safe haven bonds has dropped from something like 37% of their total investment to about 21% of their total investment. In China's case, it's about 33% of its total investment. It was their total reserves was 300 trillion, and it's now 200 trillion in U.S. Is it 3 trillion and 2 trillion?
Well, so to me that's interesting, because
it's gone down by 33%.
Because if you're seeing interest rates perhaps going up a little bit here in the United States because of that lack of investment, that says one thing, but that also lets you know that there's still a lot of cash on the sidelines that, should we have any upheaval, could come flooding back and force the rates back down again. That's just interesting to think about where that cash is going. I'm curious to get a better understanding of what the new safe haven is then.
The new safe haven isn't clear. It's also not clear why sovereign investors and major insurance companies and retirement funds are not investing in the traditional safe havens. One of the interesting things since the election in the last 3 weeks, it was predicted that the emerging markets in South America were going to get trashed by the impact and effect of the incoming Trump administration. The fact of the matter is that the emerging markets in South America have done extremely well, completely unpredicted in the last several weeks. So it's not making a lot of sense at the moment. We are, I think Emily said it correctly, we are well in the heart of the unintended consequences portion of all of this, and it's going to take a while to sort itself out. Germany is feeling its oats. Germany's had spectacular economic results in its economy. 3 months ago, it was the orphaned country, the orphaned child of Europe, and today it's reasserting its strength. So see how much a few months makes.
Definitely.
It's really quite extraordinary.
Especially if we have a Frexit. Well,
Yes.
we have to take a quick break. Please stick with us. We'll be back in a moment with more Money Matters.